Hello and welcome back to The Climb, episode 6. As per usual, it is your weekly legal aid podcast, quotation marks. I'll be your host for today again. My name is Zach. Joining me are my two regular co hosts, as per usual. We have Virgil,
Yup.
we have Vincent,
Hello.
and joining us for the first time, we have another Tavern member. He goes by many names, but for the sake of this podcast, we will call him Alex. So, hello, Alex. Welcome to the
Hello,
podcast.
everyone, and nice to meet you all.
Nice to meet you all indeed. And of course, keeping straight to the merit of how we normally do things, Alex, I'm going to ask you all about your league experience. What got you into the game? What champs do you play? What rank are you? Just, go off. The stage is yours.
We got a veteran here.
I have started playing this game since the release of beta back in 2009. I played a bit back then, but not too much. And after that, I got really into it 2 years later. And then I straight up jumped into ranked. I enjoyed the game back then. It was a new experience for me, as I was a player who only played StarCraft mostly.
Mm.
Yeah.
So do you
Uh,
think League is even recognizable today to what it was back when you first played it?
It is. A lot of things have changed over the years, and I kind of miss a few of those changes. It kind of went in a good way for a few years, and then this year it kind of went downhill because of the new changes made
Ah,
by the new director.
I see. What was your favorite time to be playing League? Or maybe do you have a favorite season?
I think it was season 3 when all the wacky champions were being played in Berlin and trying to see what champions are being played where. And I still remember vividly this game. It was me against a Olaf support. I kind of got wrecked and I got so mad about that game. I
So,
still remember it to this day.
with the addition of Bloodsong, I can almost imagine an Olaf support existing again.
That's
It's
crazy.
funny how
Yeah.
things come full circle, but yeah, definitely not what
It
you'd
only
expect.
took them about 2 decades to do that.
Hmm.
that's a
Yeah,
good or a bad thing.
and you're the owner of some pretty rare skins as well because of that veterancy, right?
Yes.
Got quite the skin collection, one of the biggest in the tavern, I think. You tell us
My
one or two
skin
of those
collection.
skins.
Um, I think one of those skins. I think I have all the riot skins that were released back then because I attended PAX, so I actually got the physical codes from the rioters back then.
Oh wow, yeah.
Oh.
I have PAX Jacks on one of my accounts that was gifted to me by Gosu himself on a giveaway on a stream.
Oh, that's crazy. I didn't even know
That's
that
insane.
law. I didn't even know that law. Pretty cool.
Yeah. I just ended up the giveaway back then, and then he picked up my name. We kind of had a few conversation about it. We actually went to the voice chat on stream for
Uh,
like 2 minutes or something. And then I thanked him for the skin, and that was it. He just continued playing Vayne and Balain
what
as
elo is
usual.
what elo is Ghost in right now? I think you might have
I have
outpeaked him
no
on the last
idea because
season or something.
I haven't seen his streams in such a long time.
It's just funny how like seemingly constant the League community is. But regardless, why don't you tell us a bit about how you found the tavern, how you integrated yourself into this whole community we have?
I found that happened very randomly because I was actually looking for a group of friends to play League of Legends with, and I kept jumping to looking for group games, looking for games and stuff like that, mostly related to the US server.
Hmm.
And I found one of the Tavern members. I think his name was Moses. He invited me here, and then I met the people from the tavern like slowly. We kind of played games, and they kind of liked me. I liked them, so we kind of just ride with each other. I think
Oh.
that's how I ended up being part of the tavern.
In my memory, I think what really like cemented you as a member was when we played our first Clash together or something like that. Do you have any memory of that?
I don't,
It's all it's
unfortunately.
all in the past, but I just remember like this is usually how it goes with new members. We would just be like Like we'd play a few games occasionally, and then eventually it'd be like, oh shit, we need some of a clash, and we just like invite everyone, and the person that comes usually they end up sticking.
I think back then I was actually a support main,
Mm-hmm.
if I remember correctly.
A thresh player.
Yeah, and I still play.
Tell us a bit about your thresh.
Well, I played Thresh when he got first time released. No one knew where Thresh was supposed to play, so everyone just played him like mid lane or ADC or top lane. Mostly because of his scaling on his abilities, mostly scaled towards AP. So back then, the Riot Games didn't actually like give you a role for the champion when they released it. They just let you pick it and just play whatever you feel like playing. And after a few months, he kind of ended up being in support just because of his utility and the CC he brings to the table.
Yeah, you certainly don't see a lot of it these days, but I mean, when I started playing, like it was still pretty common to see people doing weird stuff like thresh mid, like full AP, or like playing one-shot thresh. You see a lot less of that these days, but it's definitely true
Yeah,
that
it's mostly because it's not that viable anymore. It's also very countable and very punishable by a lot of other champions nowadays.
But when you played it, you were just playing it as like a support, or were you trying it in
No,
different
no, no.
roles?
I was actually a top lane player back then.
Ah,
Funny
that's
enough.
interesting.
Yeah, I used to play Darius, Garen. I think it was Rumble at some point, and the old KO before the rework.
I see. Okay. So what led you to the support role then?
Me playing on the support role is like I've watched so many videos about how to get better at League, and most of them were saying you have to play support so you understand the map and you have to understand how the enemy plays, where they are most of the time, trying to communicate with your team like, hey, they're going there, I'm following up. And that's how I ended up playing support because I wanted to be part of the team and I kind of enjoyed uh, being the supportive character in most of the games.
I see, I see. Now that's definitely a piece of advice I've heard before. To the other guys now, what do you think of that piece of advice? You have to play support to learn the map. I know it's a controversial
Well,
take.
I would agree actually, because there's so much more than just the role, like sitting in lane and helping AD carry as a support player.
Hmm.
Like nowadays, that is, maybe I'm not too sure like how it was like a couple of years ago, or let's say 4 or 5 years ago, where the meta was completely different, where everybody was like just each game was like 50 minutes and it was just like keep the AD carry alive, hyperscale. But nowadays, the best way to learn the map, I think, is jungle and support, and to like do like the most. If you want to have the most impact, it is these two roles. It's very, very crucial that like a good support player knows what they're doing, and when they make the decision and when they make their move, because I think knowing the intricacies and like when and where to be at the right time is definitely very important.
Hmm. What
So
about
I
you,
agree.
Zach?
I mean, I think everyone should play every role at some point. I don't think it's really that hard to play any particular role more than the other. But I do find it quite funny that back then people were saying, play support. But like nowadays, I think the only advice I give people is if you actually want to get better, don't play support because there's so many things you're told not to do if you're new to the game that it's a big detriment to play that role. And then on top of that, it's just like the role itself is by how it plays like the easiest role to play. So again, if you're trying to improve, you're really limiting how much you can improve at any given moment.
Hmm. I definitely agree that support, at the very least, is the most relaxing role to play. Like, whenever I'm sick of learning, I just hop on support account. I just piss vibe. Like, yeah, sure, you have to know a bit of basic macro to be able to play it, but it just really feels like you can just run around and do what you want sometimes.
Yeah, but back then there weren't such a big pool of champions that you can pick
Mhm.
from, with so many abilities that would overshow on the map, and like such a easy way to go around the map. You just had a limited type of supports, and you can only play with those, and only those like excelled in like a certain area of support. Like for example, Alistar was a big tank, used 4CC and lockdown, Nautilus as well, Thresh as well. The enchanters back then were really underpowered because they were like really squishy than they are now in the
Yeah.
current game. So basically, no one played them except for like a few people who one tricked them, but that's about it.
I do remember that being somewhat the case when I started playing as well, is the engaged tanks felt a lot more durable, and it was basically like standard to see them almost all the time. Whereas now you get at least a 50-50 of enchanters and engage. Yeah. Bringing things up to the present, how have you been finding this league season so far?
Not that bad, but also not that good. It's also a bias that I have with League of Legends nowadays.
Hmm.
It's full of new like toxic people making new accounts, going into them, inting, going AFK, and they don't get punished for it, and I have to suffer because of it most of the time. Even though I'm doing good in my team and I'm trying to carry or help my team carry,
Hmm.
I can't really overcome the people tilting or rage quitting.
I see, I see. So, yeah, I've heard you've been very passionate about that particular problem. The fact that people on this server can just make as many accounts as they want. As soon as they become dissatisfied with their climb, they just go, oh, time for a new account, new MMR, and then they just go and run it anyway because they don't care about the new account.
Yep.
That's crazy. Do you have any proposed solutions to this problem? I'll open that question to anyone who wants to answer.
Well, I think you should not be allowed to play ranked only if you have a verified phone number like they do it with Clash.
I see.
Because that means you are tied up to one account and you have to keep your toxicity low so you can actually play the game, because then you will actually be banned or restricted from games or be placed in a low priority queue.
That's
That
really
is my
interesting.
take.
That's really interesting because what do you do about the players that are just starting off, then that want to play ranked, but they can't because they're locked out of it? Do you think there's like some kind of solution for them, or is it just like,
Well, I think
oh,
what he's saying is that you need a verified phone number, right? Which means that
mm,
a new player would just be able to use their phone number, but it would stop players from having access accounts because they need another phone number for every account.
I see.
I mean, it's a bit like, wait, is this it's in Korea, right? Not China, where they have the system where you need to have your account
Yeah,
tied
it's in
to a
Korea where they have
Yeah,
their
yeah.
ID
government ID.
tied
Yeah.
up.
I think that's certainly a good idea. I mean, in a utopia, that would be a good idea, but obviously Riot needs to make money, and accounts are one of the best sources of that.
Yet Riot was bullying people and websites for selling Smurf accounts in the past.
Mm.
And there was a big controversy about this, and I still remember it. And they were banning people for having Smurf accounts made or Smurf accounts being bought up. But after a while, that controversy stopped, and Riot hasn't said a word about it.
Do you think that actually coincided with the Tencent acquisition of Riot?
Most likely because Tencent is it's a Chinese company, right? Like the biggest shareholder in China, and they like to make money. So I guess they must have like coerced or try to give a plan or something to the websites that sold the Smurfs so they actually get a take from the money they do.
That's
That is my ideology. I
that's
don't
an
know
interesting
if am I
theory.
correct or not.
I think that would need to be verified for sure, but at the very least, it does keep the player base more engaged in that sense that they can keep making new accounts and keep queuing up. And it also looks good for the numbers because every account represents an individual player, even when it's one person with multiple accounts. Is there anything else that you noticed changed in Riot's handling of the game after the Tencent acquisition? Again, open question to anyone.
Well, they removed the Hextech chest, which is a big controversy nowadays on everything that Riot Games posts. There are multiple comments shaming them for removing that because as a project, I get they're losing money, but they added the Hextech chests over 10 years ago, and they could have done this 10 years ago. It's like, oh, we're starting this as a project to see how it's going. If it's within our budget and we don't lose money and people are still buying skins out of the store instead of just playing games nowadays and just farming up a chest to open up for a free skin, a free ward, or a free icon, that's fine by us. But they didn't stop that. They just went now and just publicly said, oh, this is hurting our budget. We need more money and we can't keep this going. But it did work for over 10 years. And why is it not working now?
I think it. I never buy the excuse that they're having budget issues when the quality of the skins that they were able to produce with a much lower staff and a much smaller budget back in the day was so high, and now the quality is going down, even though they have access to more money. It's a bit concerning.
Super weird.
Yeah.
Super weird.
Let's take the Mordekaiser skin, for example. He uses up the basic mace from the classic Mordekaiser skin in its animation. And it's a gacha skin introduced with a new gacha system to the league.
Oh yeah,
And it's absolutely crazy of how much money they're asking to get a skin that uses a basic model animation in it.
Yeah, it's a 250 investment, right? Unless you get lucky.
Yes.
Crazy stuff. But yeah, I saw a post of that where they showed the animations, and they literally like there's an afterglow, like after he uses his Q, obliterate, and even though they updated the model of the actual weapon, the the after image from when he smacks it down is still the old model. So they didn't even change the model of the VFX, let alone change the VFX themselves.
There are also multiple animations that he still do the same as the basic skin. For example, his W where he beats his chest when he activates his armor. It is the same animation in this $250 skin.
That's
All
crazy.
in all, I just think it's really weird that it's just really shady, I feel like.
Do you
Something
think
is not adding up.
do you think this will ever be something that they'll address or improve, or do you think it's just downhill from here?
It is just downhill from here, mostly because most of the changes come out from the new director that has been appointed.
Oh, I see.
It's like they're throwing it under the rug. It's like with they expect it to be like with the Ari skin, the 500 one where everybody had like an outburst because it's so expensive. But like over time, because they didn't really address it or anything, people are like, not talking about it. And so I feel like they are trying to like do the same with this. So like after a certain time, no one's gonna address this, and it's just like, well, you can see the implications right now, can't we? Everybody's speaking up about it, and just no one's stopping. So it's a matter of time, I think, before they will have to address it.
I think
One way or another.
another thing I find concerning is if you look at the Riot revenue, like how much money they've been taking home from the game. This is the kind of thing where they said, "Oh, this is an experiment. We're just testing to see if there's a market for this." But year by year, they've been making less and less money. So these decisions are slowly killing their game. I'm just curious as to whether they noticed their game was making less money, so they're deciding to just make as much money out of it as they can before it dies, or if this is just or the game dying is a direct consequence of these decisions. I'm not entirely sure which way around it is, but that's something that's happened over the last, I think, 3 or 4 years. The game started losing money. Well, not losing money, but making less.
The problem with games like these is like the more you pump out new characters, new skins, the less value is gonna have, because at one point, every player is gonna have their champion with all the skins they want, and they will not buy any other skins for other champions, because why would they buy skins for a champion that I do not play? Like, for example, why would I buy skins for Lulu, which is a champion I do not play? when I could just keep buying skins for Thresh, which is the champion I play. So it's also reaching to that point where a lot of the gamers from the League of Legends community are old or veterans like I am in the game, and they kind of have all the skins that they want and have at this point in time, and they don't want to spend more money on the game itself.
Yeah, I mean, I can feel the same effects even with the champions I play. Like, usually when when a skin drops from my main, or mains in this case, I usually pick them up. And that was a period in which I was literally just getting every skin that came out that I thought was interesting. But like for the first time in a while, they dropped a new Yearn skin and a new Senna skin, which are two of my most played characters. And I just didn't, like, I didn't even feel the pull to go to the shop and buy them. I didn't even feel, like, the urge. Usually I at least feel, even if I don't give into it, I at least feel the urge to buy it. But this time I just felt nothing. And it's nothing to do with the skins either. Like, the skins themselves are, like, pretty interesting. It's just the way that the Riot's been treating his customers, I think. It's turning me off. But what about you guys? I know, Zach, you hardly buy any skin. Well, you don't really spend any money on the game.
Yeah, I mean, I always think I just don't ever care about what a game looks like as long as the gameplay is enjoyable. So this doesn't affect me at all. But even then, if I was, I mean, okay, well, it doesn't affect me in a minor sense. Like I've probably bought skins over the past like 4 years of playing. Like I'm sure I have. Obviously, I remember in the past I've gifted them to people, you know, etc., received them. But in the past, I'd say 2 years, I've not spent any money in the game, and this kind of just solidifies the fact that I wouldn't want to return to that. You know, just because why would you have a bad business practice and then not have a spine for it at the same time? Which I do find quite interesting that there's a lot of people that will condemn the idea, but they will also then continue to participate when they can just not. It's quite weird, honestly.
Yeah, I think it finally crossed that line for me. Like, I just, my, even though I like the content, like I like that new Yearn skin and the Senna one, I just can't do it. I can't buy it. I can't support that practice anymore. What about you, Vincent?
Yeah, I just haven't been buying skins as much as I used to. Just overall, I guess, because I think I've gotten to the point where I have at least a skin for every champion I like to play, and also the chests have been helping, and so there's not really any like there with their skins, the quality, like some of the skin lines, like even the newest skin line, when I first saw it, it was super weird. I was like super unsure, like what like was like the thought process of like them coming out with these kind of skins, and so I was just like, I feel like I was gonna hold off about the skins, and so that's what I did. I just haven't been buying much skins than I did before in the past.
So yeah, that's interesting. Even though all four of us have different approaches to how we consume the game, it seems all of us have been pretty off the skin investment thing recently. Perhaps it's related, perhaps it's not, but definitely a decreasing interest.
Yeah, definitely there is something, and we can see from the trend. It's like I feel like there's gonna be a lot of people that are in the same boat with us that are not gonna buy skins.
That's right. There's even a scheduled boycott over the recent decisions to do with the chests. I don't know if you
Yeah,
guys have heard about that. I saw it on I saw it as a short on Dante's channel.
Nobody's not aware
I
of that.
have I have not heard about it.
I
Maybe
have.
check it out
It's kind of
after. Do you
crazy.
remember the date of it, Vincent? What it was scheduled for?
Oh, I don't know the actual time. I just saw it and I was like, "Oh, this is pretty interesting."
For some reason, I have like the 28th in my head. I don't know if that's right at all. Maybe I'll post in the description what day it is. But yeah, people were planning to just not play the game for a day. I just find it funny. It goes to show how addicted people are. It's like we're
It's
taking a
one
stand.
day.
We're taking a stand against Riot's business practices
One,
by not
yeah.
playing for one day.
That's so stupid. That's literally just does nothing. It's quite
Yeah.
informative. That sounds so stupid. Like you actually don't like. I don't know. Just find a different game to play. Like this thing. Like I condemn the practices, right? I condemn this, that, and the other. Like I'll still play occasionally, and that's why I'll never take like a full stand because like at the end of the day, right? I think it's really dumb for them to remove chests like straight up. I think it's ridiculous. And I know I'm gonna stop playing the game at some point, but I know it's not right now, so I'm not taking any huge stands for it. Because like even if you do like even if like you've managed to organize the entire player base, like you'd have to take a large percentage of the player base across each region to actually like make any sort of impact out of it. That's the reality of it.
Hmm.
So I just don't. I think these like ideas just don't actually do anything unless you act. Like you can keep playing the game, right? But if you actively stop spending money and you're someone who used to, then that would actually make a difference, right? To me, nothing changes, honestly. Unfortunately, even if I don't agree with it.
I think Riot themselves just said that most of them, or maybe they didn't say publicly, but they've somewhat admitted that most of their money does come from the whales rather than the average player.
That
Which
makes no
makes
sense, really.
sense. So they don't really need to do anything about the average player stopping. They just need to make sure that the whales keep spending.
I mean, in one side you have a whale who spends $500 for the Ori skin, and one side you have a player who spends maybe $10 for a normal skin.
And that brings me to my next
So
point. Is like, if you were Riot, what would you do to increase engagement for the average player, not these whales? Because if you can get the average player to spend a little bit now and again, you're probably in a much happier spot as a company. Like, my personal answer to this is I love chromas. I think chromas are awesome, and they're also really easy to make. I just really don't like this whole mythic chroma thing. I think it's absurd. I think like it's so easy. You could just get an artist to recolor a skin with a nice combination of colors. 290 RP, like the standard price for it. I'd be buying chromas all the time if they were doing that. Just release it as seasonal content. I don't know.
I like that. I like that take. I don't agree with the price that the mythic chromas have,
Yeah, they're
but I
crazy.
do like that they bring out new effects to all the skins that they have. That is one plus for me for the mythic chromas, even though their price is not worth it to spend that much for it.
I also think the problem with mythic content right now is like it used to just be really old legacy stuff, or it was prestige skins. And the prestige skins right now don't feel like they have anything to do with your prestige on the champion at all. Like they just show up in the shop and you're like, oh, I think this is cool, I want to buy it. So you could have the world's most dedicated Riven main, who just because he doesn't spend any money can't get the prestige skin. But then you just have some random whale who sinks a bunch of money into the game, doesn't play Riven, and then just sees the Riven skin. He's like, "Well, I want this," and he just buys it. Like it doesn't it means the skin has nothing to do with the champ anymore. I think it's a bit weird the way they do it.
Agreed. That's interesting. Because I think the exact same. I would rather the community that plays the champion, they get like benefited from these kind of skins than just people that just spend money. I'm not saying that people that spend money are bad, it's just like they enjoy the champion. Show them some love, you
Like
know?
for example,
Mm.
let's take the mastery system into consideration. For example, if someone has a lot of mastery points on one champion, they can get discounts for that particular champion they play for skins, for example, or chromas, or any other limited content that it is for the champion they play. That would be a great way to make players spend money for the game and also keep them happy while playing the game.
I think that's a good idea. Yeah, I like that.
That is a great idea. Like I did not even think about that. That's opened a new like avenue. Riot Games, take notes, please. Please.
Bro, once this wait, how many of the Riven skins do you have?
Almost all of them. I'm missing like a couple of the legacy ones and one really, really bad one that I didn't want to buy because it was like
Yeah.
750 RP. Not
Actually, all
justified.
I'm missing is the OG releases of the Prestige Kate skins, which obviously I'll never get because that's
Yeah.
what they are. That every Kate content. Oh nah, I just remembered the support ticket I wrote.
Feels.
I don't know if I want
I
to
want
talk
to
about
give you a
that
pat on the
here.
back. Feels bad, man.
One day I'll get that icon. One day. Okay, we're at about halfway through now. Do we want to start talking about the state of the game?
Yeah. Let's go.
All right, let's just do a little player-by-player recap, starting with Vincent. We'll go right to left. How has your last week of ranked been? What have you been experimenting with? What strategies you've been playing? Tell us all about it.
It's been good. I just hit platinum on both of my accounts, and I'm feeling very happy. The climb has definitely like shown itself. Playing consistently is the best way to climb. And with that, I've just been playing as consistently as possible, trying to do my best, and like I haven't been FFing. I haven't tilted as much apart from maybe like today. Like before I came onto this podcast, I had a couple of games and it definitely tilted me, but other than that, being very consistent, enjoying my games. Platinum 4 on my main, on my ranked, I got to Platinum 2. The climb is going, it's doing well, doing wonders, and slightly like ever so slightly just starting to shift back to AD carry. Really weird, don't you think, Virgil? Now I'm
Very
playing the
interesting.
AD carry again. Yeah, and it's all of a sudden like I'm starting to climb from in a week. It was a week or two. I got to from like gold 4 all the way to like plat. It was like crazy.
It's curious what
By just
happens
playing.
to your win rate when you play the role that you main.
Yeah. Something interesting happens.
And
But yeah.
also, I think sticking to the same champs also very good.
Yeah. There's a set of champions I've been playing. Mainly Jinx. And if Jinx is banned, then it's just kind of like Kai'Sa or like whatever at that point. But it's mainly Jinx.
Have you even lost a Jinx game yet on Yuju?
I don't know. I'm unsure now. Now I'm
I
thinking
swear
about
you
it.
haven't even lost one.
Maybe not. Maybe not. The champions like just stuff happens. Illegal stuff happens on that champion. When I play 7 games, 100% win rate. How crazy is that?
Yep. And the Kais is pretty good as well. It's like
Yeah.
also 7 games.
71.
Like,
Yeah, 71.
Not bad. And so, I mean, despite your success, is there anything in the meta that you've been facing that you think is unfair? Any grievances with the current state of the game?
There was nothing particularly out that like sets itself apart. But I think one thing that I found in one of our games that me and you played was into that brand champion where he was just able to roll me throughout the first like
Oof.
I'd say like 20 minutes. I just could not do anything versus that champion. It was a little bit insane.
I think that was a bit my bad, because I was just in a mood that day. And to be fair, it was working for like every other game where I was just like, I want to go fist fight enemy bot.
Yeah.
And then that was like the first mage bot lane we played against that day, which I was just like in the same mood. But really, against those two champs, you really can't take any prior.
Yeah.
You kind of just have to wait. Which is
I do feel
annoying,
like
and I didn't take my foot off the accelerator there, but
hey, it worked
worked
out
in
in
the
the
end.
end.
We did win the game, so
Yes, sir. But yeah, I think mage bot lanes into like Jinx right now is kind of really good. Just they have so much health, and I felt like there was not much I could have done in the lane. It was just like me sit back and just farm, and that also comes up to the point that I think in our previous podcasts we were saying like ADCs still do what they do, but it takes time to ramp up, and it definitely felt like that I was like ramping up, but it definitely just I don't get that initial spike of power.
yeah.
Yep.
Can you attribute any of this success to any of the changes recently? Like, do you think the IE change has been helpful?
Oh, definitely. Having IE at like 675, it feels so much more natural to build it than just building like IE at like 825 gold. That was crazy. I'm finding myself backing a lot more with the IE spike, and I'm liking that I can opt into IE second item instead of maybe going it third because it's such like a late spike.
I can tell you're definitely happy about it, because I've been looking at the desktop audio and you've been spiking your mic the entire time.
Yeah. I mean, enjoying it. Yeah. I'm very
I love to
cool
see the
about this part.
enthusiasm. I love to see it.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So I'll keep it brief for my past week, because me and Vincent have been playing together, so a lot of my games have been with him. But yeah, it's been mainly 2 duos. I've been playing with Saad. I've been playing with Vincent. I haven't been playing so much on my main, And yeah, I've been playing mid lane and support, just having quite a lot of success, like Vincent said. I think with Vincent especially, it's like we're going back to our roots. Like we used to duo the Senna and hypercarry bot lane a lot with like 70% win rate, and now we're just back on it in this split as well. It just feels really good. Going for top spot. Well, I must be the #1 Senna on the server.
Gotta do it.
Gotta
Gotta
do
do
it.
it.
But yeah, I think my goal for the support account right now is to get that thing to diamond, hopefully, and then maybe focus on my mid laning a bit more. What about you, Alex? How's your past ranked week been treating you?
I have been playing up jungle. One of my roles so far in all my experience with League, and I've been learning a lot from watching explanatory videos on YouTube so far
I
from
see, I
other
see.
streamers, and I've been actually doing pretty well. I'm not playing all the meta champions that are now in the pool. I'm just playing what I feel like it is fun for me, and I kind of vibe with it so far.
It's been interesting to see on jungle, yeah, because it's something we're not used to as a group. It's the role you've always avoided, especially in Clash and things like that. You say, I'll play anything but jungle. But now you're finally embracing your jungle arc. It seems like you've been having fun with it, so that's good.
It is the single role that I cannot play. I can play the other four roles a very high elo percentage.
Mm.
But I cannot play jungle. But I am a best I know to learn this other role.
And you
What do
actually
you think is the hard part about jungle?
It's
'Cause I also played as well.
it's trying to not actually listen to all the pings that the teammates actually send to me. Sometimes I get like so lost in the pings because this person pings me. I like my subconscious just goes because I'm a support player at heart. I need to go and help them. But at the end of the day I have to think maybe it's not a good play. Maybe I should just focus on my jungle and let them be okay because for example, I try to gank a lane, they preemptively go in before me arriving for like a few seconds, they die, and then I somehow get turned on by the laner and the enemy jungler, and I die as a result as well. So it is not really favorable in my case to just follow pings without me actually thinking it's actually a good play. So I'm trying to refrain from actually going in all the time
yeah,
just because of the pings.
perfect example of that. Me and Saad just had a game where we were both doing well in our respective roles. He was playing jungle, I was playing mid. And there was a Grubs fight that really was just obviously bad. I didn't have prio. Me and Saad were both late to it, and our Briar engaged at 1v3. And again, just like sheep, we were like, oh, teammate is going, so we have to go and do the fight. And we just ended up laning into a 2-kill Vladimir. GG. And we fought back pretty hard, but it wasn't enough. Game was lost from that point. But yeah, it's a good example of why you really need to play for yourself in your own spikes. You cannot just blindly follow whatever ping you see first. But yeah.
Usually you can play for another person in the game if you're duo queuing with someone. That's a good example of following that person things because then you are actively talking with them in the voice chat or in game, or you actively know what the person is actually playing like. You know their playstyle, so you can actually like think, oh, this person is gonna do this because I already played with them before, so I know they're gonna do this and this and this.
Yeah.
So I can just follow their lead without actually thinking, oh, maybe he's not a bad pick because they also know not to take bad picks in most case scenarios.
I think the worst part about it was both me and him, like, we were going to that fight. And both of us said on comms out loud, this looks bad. And then we both walked into it and both died. Absolute classic, but yeah.
Yeah, it comes back to like one of like the big parts where it's usually you don't really trust your random teammates, and you would definitely trust pre-mates more than random teammates. Because it's a wild, wild west out there in solo queue.
I mean, I would say it's more like when it comes to it, is you can trust your friend's temperaments more than you can trust a random teammate. Because the thing
Yep.
is, like, I've never played a game with someone. Oh, okay, that's a lie. I've played a game with people who will blow up. But like, if you're playing solo queue, for example, right? I'm like, even if it's a bad game, right? I'll trust myself and my teammate never to like blow up on the team. Be like, oh, fuck, fuck this game. I don't want to play anymore. There's no point
Yeah.
playing it. But like your random teammate, you never know who they are. It's literally a random person on the internet. It could be someone who's worked like a 10-hour shift and just literally wants to enjoy themselves, doesn't really care. It could be someone who's a baby regional rat that then, if you don't gank the lane at 4 minutes, they die and they go, I'm running the game down, right? So that's the like main issue I think with these kind of plays, where like it's bad, but at least if you follow it, at least that person's not going to turn around and chat and go like, I hate my jungler. I hate this guy. He never listens to me. He's boosted. It's like, bro, it's insane how people react. Honest to God, it's absolutely insane.
I found a boosted little rat in one of my games today as well. I was just queuing up on my mid lane account, and I was like hovering Yon, and I was like, okay, I thought I locked in, like I literally, because I'm so distractible, well with ADHD and everything. I thought I already locked in, and I double ticked and looked at the screen, and I realized that despite me hovering my pick first, my top laner had locked in Yon. So I was like, oh shit, wait, what? And so I was like, fuck, I guess I pick, I had like barely any chance on the account. I was like, oh, I'll pick fucking Diana, I guess. And I end up in the Vel'Koz. And this guy, he's playing Lethal Tempo Yon top, he counterpicked himself into Jax, and his username was Tengen Yon. Hashtag, it had some really edgy hashtag.
Was it curse?
Yeah, it was hashtag
Yeah.
curse. Hashtag curse. And he muted himself immediately at the start of the game. And then he ran down 3 deaths in a row and then started running bot lane. I was like, well, I'm so glad that this guy took my pick off of me, but yeah. It's funny, you were just talking about certain monkeys, and happened to find one in the wild today.
Why is it always Yoni players who run it down?
Why
I
is it
don't know.
always Yoni
It's
players?
honest to God weird, but like I've this past week I've finally gone back to playing solo queue, like solo queue, as in I'm actually playing to climb and like playing
Let's
on
go.
by myself. But it's like
Return
I
of
think
the
the
king.
funniest part, dude, I'm sure you've seen the image, but I'll just post it here anyway because you can probably share it on the thing as well. But like I've seen Jacob
Oh
react
yeah.
to this, like, bro, what are you
The
fucking playing?
Scorelines
And it's like.
Deluxe.
Dude, it's not like it's not even that. Like it's just like, dude, the champion pool is so. I can't.
It's convoluted, I guess you want to say.
Not completely. No. It's PD. I'll let you finish the last letter there, but I can't say it. You
It's
know what I mean?
literally, yeah, it's like the waiting room champs, bro. It's like the top lane deluxe.
Try
It's
not
literally
to
just
smile,
'cause-
champions.
Bro, it's literally. I'm just like every game, dude. I also am better because I swear to God, with these two champs, anyone can hit like master or some shit. Unironically, like they're so strong. It's not even a joke. Like I first time
Yeah.
Ambassador, right? I don't think, again, I'm not playing at good elos yet, but it was like first time Ambassador with like full Emerald lobby against, I swear it was some guy playing like can was it Jackson? He might have been playing Jackson himself. It's like the champ just plays for you. I never played the champ before, right? I completely forgot. Oh, like Callisto, if you input the command after the ability, you'll dash in that direction, right? Queued into him level 1, still unironically won the trade because he was like scared, I guess. I don't know. Like these champs are so overtuned that I'm playing like Jax, Garen, and Bessa. They're free elo, like I swear to God. And I haven't played the game properly in like straight up, I think exactly 2 years now. Because I stopped playing the game back in 2023 because I really, really didn't like it, and I banned account, etc. I'm not going to talk about it. So yeah, I've just gone back to climbing. It's fun. It is fun to win,
Mm.
and it's been mostly blue. I think the one game I lost was not in my hands, but it was again, like I said, it was one of those games where you play, you don't listen to someone else's call, they start crying about it, and it's like, okay, well, I guess this game's just lost, like straight up.
Yeah.
Oh God, it was an
You
experience.
guys all know what I'm talking about if I say the words Garen therapy, right? Like that looks like a very Garen therapy kind of game right there.
Yeah.
Just like
I mean,
sometimes you just need to lock in Garen and just go fucking stride breaker the fucking minions, bro. Like, it's just a
no,
real palate cleanser champion.
I definitely cleanse my palate playing AP Jax. I think I won one game insanely good. The other game, literal. Oh my God, like actual like stereotypical. This guy's watching Bows. Like I straight up went, I think 10 deaths,
My
but we
god.
won because I was just split pushing Purba. Because it was playing. I was what, AP Jackson to Quinn, I think. Never do that.
Yeah.
Never play
Quinn.
Jackson to Quinn. It was so miserable because I also forgot that this is obviously everyone's buying the City Boost now, and that champ abuses it. It's so cringe. Oh my God, it was a miserable match. I won, but I didn't feel like I won. I didn't feel like I won by the end of it. It was horrifying.
You won the game, but you lost a piece of your soul.
That guy never had a soul though. That guy was playing fucking Symbiotic Squid.
That's why
what
he's
a
trying to steal
loser.
your soul, bro.
I'm playing AB chess. There's not much
Freaky
to give for
boy.
that.
But
But
yeah, no.
the climb's interesting.
Quinn is a dirty character. Anyways, what can we talk about next?
I feel like I wanted to add a
I'll go ahead.
more stuff about the people playing champions, and those champions correlate of how much toxicity the group of those people have. Like for example, let's take Draven players. That's been known throughout years that all Draven players are toxic, and that's been proven multiple times. Funny enough, Twitch players as well. Very much after the whole L9 incident, which catapulted Twitch to being a champion played by a
Losers.
certain streamer.
Not him, but losers.
Yeah.
Otherwise, losers and Owen, but he's kind of a loser, so that kind of tracks pretty well.
I feel like those two champions are like every time I have one of those in my game, I feel like this game will either go well, they will pop off, or they will die 3 times and go like super ballistic in chat with swearing and raging and calling slurs and being racist and all of the stuff about toxicity.
Whose
I mean,
stream
to
was
be
it?
fair-
It was the Sod stream or who else was streaming? Well, I don't know. But I literally saw some crazy shit being typed by an Ari in one of his
that was
games.
my game.
Was
That
that your
was- yeah,
game?
that
Was
was
that your game?
my game actually.
That was
Oh
actually
my
insane.
god, bro.
Insanity.
We cannot repeat what they said on this podcast, but my
Maybe
goodness.
you can get a screenshot. You never know. Smiley face, but no.
I
Dude,
don't think.
I agree with you that though.
It's like the stigma behind like the champion.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There is a
yeah.
common factor, but I'll let you say your point first.
Who was
Alex?
it? Alex?
Alex, you had
Yeah.
something else you're gonna add. Go for it.
Yeah, I wanted to add. I think there were like multiple champions as well. Which one was it? Oh yeah, Kane players. Funny enough, Kane players are also toxic.
Yeah.
A lot of them.
Edgelord Deluxe. Smiley
Yasuo
face.
players on top with Draven players like next to each other, like buddies kissing each other, all of that stuff. They're
One in
like
10
they're like
house
friends
bag.
in toxicity.
Yeah.
What do you
That's-
guys
Riven
think?
players to some degree, but I haven't seen them. I haven't actually encountered a Riven player in a season and a half. Actually, I guess.
They're all too busy crying about the champ apparently being weak, but like it's like
That
55%
champion is
anyway.
not weak. She's S
Oh,
plus.
that champ is always OP. But
I think I've only seen
It's a one-trick
OTPs
champion.
played. Yeah.
like what I'll say, like I said, because like I've noticed, everyone's noticed this, right? It's always like what Draven, Twitch, Yasuo, Katarina, fucking Kane, Yi, even like the thing with these champs. It's
Certain
not just...
Rengar OTP smiley face.
Rengar
Yes.
no, actually just Rengar players, bro. Legit, like all these players, it's not just the champ the way that it's to some degree it's a bit of how the champ's designed, but like they are literally just feast or famine players. They want to either carry the game or lose. There's no between. They have some sort of mental disorder.
And they
but
all
it's also
think,
just
yeah,
kind of
they think they
how the
deserve
champ
to
thinks.
win just because they picked this fucking character.
I think it's because I've seen the exact same for myself with the Katarina player on my team who was like, it was like, dude, you literally just had to let them try and carry, because otherwise they would not let you play the game, right? It's like perma fight. There's no thought behind it, and then you realize, oh, there's a reason these guys. There's always these accounts. They never go above like Emerald. Like I've never seen a single one of these players above Emerald. Like unironically, like maybe there's been like those in Diamond, a couple of them.
Yeah.
But I swear, it's like there's a reason these players are not good at the game. They just like perma flip on a champion. And again, I don't.
One thing I
don't, like-
definitely notice about these guys, like the ones you said that are like stuck, the ones that they do often climb, but when they climb, they switch to like normal pools. Like they switch to normal meta pools, they climb because they're probably decent, but then they go back to their toxic mains, they get hard stuck again. I swear it's such a common pattern.
I've seen that so many times actually as well.
I mean, I've seen it once or twice, but it's just like, dude, I swear, like, I don't, because like it's still Lucky, right? I think macro really doesn't matter most of the time, but it's also like, you don't need to learn much macro at all, but they don't learn a single bit of it, and the entire game for them is based on flipping a fight. And it's like, yeah, bro, no wonder you're like, you can drop a game with 20 kills, right? And the next game you're 0 and 10, and you're never gonna climb because you never actually think. And it's just like, I genuinely want to talk to these people and know what goes through your head because it's nothing good. Like what makes you pursue this sort of gameplay style? Like how is it even nice fun for you, right?
And
If you're
most of
gonna
them
load to a game and
are
flip it.
KDA players, so they kind of want to have like a really good score at the end of the game, so they can showcase the game to their friend, their family, their mother, their lover, and so forth. Like,
Bro, they
hey,
don't
look,
have
I won.
lovers or
I won.
mothers,
that's a bit
bro.
of a
They don't have
stretch. Yeah,
lovers or
that's a bit of
mothers.
a
Have you heard
stretch.
them? Like the way they talk, these guys don't even know what love is. They weren't raised properly, clearly. Like, like honestly though, it's concerning because I don't understand what it is that makes people actually like become like that in terms of player. Not just the play style, but the toxicity, as we said,
You
that
would
comes from them.
you would expect the opposite, right? Once like they play that like a certain champion to a point, it's just like you're like so locked in with your own gameplay. I feel like in theory, but it's the complete opposite. They just look at everybody else's gameplay and just like telling you
Oh.
what to do, and it's just like, what? Hold on.
Well, that's the thing, is that there are good ones, right? But
Yeah.
all of the good ones, there's one common thing between them, which is all of the good ones just shut the fuck up and play the game. They don't, like, the
I mean,
ones that
yeah.
carry are always the ones that are silent, locked in, and just focusing on their own gameplay. And they're always the scariest to come across, the ones that are actually locked in.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like the ones that are actually good have already like not just because they've been playing for years, but they've already climbed because they belong in the rank that like people like, for example, like Zukil, like Way of the Tempest, right? Or what's the category player who's gone into Prime League now? I can't remember his name, but
That's evolved.
kind of yeah, like these players, like even if some of them in the past have been toxic, right? They're still insanely good and they do actually just play well, and it's those kind of players that climb on the OTP, and it's like this is why I genuinely hate OTP to the passion. I just think it's like, bro, you can OTP a champ, that's fine. But like, if after 2-3 seasons of doing the same thing, it hasn't worked, why would it change next 3-4 seasons?
Bro, you know that the Yon loser I brought up earlier, he had the exact same icon as Zukil as well. He was such a fanboy. Such a sad thing to see in the world because he was genuinely awful as well.
Bro, oh my god, wait, that dude. I was playing a game, one of those games. I can't remember who it was, but when I see people type the word fanboy, I instantly disregard every single thing positive I can think about them. Dude, I'm sorry, if you're playing in Emerald and you're typing the word fanboy, you're a fucking loser. Like genuinely, you're nobody. I'm also nobody. But why are you typing fanboy as if you are somebody? Like you're not somebody. You're just acting like someone you're not. It's insane because whenever someone types a word like that, you kind of just associate instantly, like, oh, this person has no life. They have nothing to go off of. Like, who the fuck?
Bro, you got
who
to
the
get that
fuck-
league cred, bro.
Oh
Don't
my
worry.
god. Who the fuck plays a game and says you're a fan? Like, bro, what? It's like when someone types in all checks, they get ganked. Stop fanboying. They're like, bro, you sound like a fucking loser. Like, that's the most people that ever wanted to be around you in your life. It's insane. Jesus, yeah. It sucks. I've come back to playing solo queue and I've instantly remembered all the things I hated
Yeah,
about it. So it's
it's
just
like
thrown to my
you're
head.
having the revival. It's all
Right.
flooding back to you.
But that's the thing. It's like I
Just
love
having
the
an
game.
epiphany.
Like I'm still having so much fun playing solo queue. I really enjoy playing the game because I think the game's great. But there's all these little like like this symbiotic soul change, like these quirky builds, like these toxic players. I'm like, oh god, it's all just hitting me at the same time.
Hmm.
End of rant. I will stop
Oh,
myself now.
I had an insanely crazy game today, right? Where I was
Tell
fed.
us about it.
I was like completely stomping.
Wait, was it the Kate
I
game?
came out lame.
Was it the Kate game?
No.
Oh.
That one was just like, I don't know. I was like in flow state with that game. But there was a different game where it was I was like super fed. I came out of lane really comfortable where I was just like feeling good. I'm like having like 5-0. And then I press tab and I wish I didn't. When my top laner is 0-7 or 0-8. And I see that Trendemir, Proxian, he's already taken 2 towers and he's going mid taking a tower. This guy by the end of the game was like 290 CS at like 26 minutes. At 20 minutes, this guy had 240 CS. This guy was completely just like rolling my team. And then when it came to the point, it just like I gave a shutdown and it was like the game was over at that point. But then I dug deeper. I had a little look at his account and I went back like a couple of weeks, or rather a week. And he didn't really play Trendemir. He was more of a Kane main, right? And he was a bronze 2 Kane player, and he was being bronze 2 every single season. And then you might be like, oh, okay, that's fine and whatnot.
I think
But
we all know
what's
where this is
really,
going.
really weird, he, in a singular day, starting like today, the 25th, right? You know what happened? This guy went 18 games win streak. And this guy dropped Trendemir every single game. On DPM, this guy did not get lower than like a 70 on his DPM score. Did not get lower than a 70. He usually got a 90 on every game. So I was like, this guy must be like getting boosted or something. Because he did not play that champion before like today. Like before he was just playing like Pantheon Kane. And now all of a sudden he's like Trendemir top. I sprinkle in some junglers here and there that are not part of his pool, and it was just like crazy. Yeah, that was one of the experiences I had.
You run
I haven't
into an
seen someone
actual
like that
booster, bro.
in a while. I remember I saw them in the past, but like I said, I feel like it's always a really I've never seen it from like bronze upwards. I feel like I always see the really specific like, oh, this guy's like gold 4, and then suddenly hits platform. It's like, oh, good job, bro, you climbed really well. And then you look, it's like, oh, wait a minute, he suddenly started locking in Vayne 80 carry, 80% win rate. That's not normal. I don't know. I actually not seen someone boosting in so long, but I think that's because I haven't played, and I'm probably not in an elo where it's going to be noticeable.
I've just been trying to like less frequently look at the stats of my opponents. I feel like it doesn't help me win.
I actually stopped looking at them. I uninstalled every piece of app that shows stats like that because it just makes me feel, oh, I'm laning against the person who's like this and plays these champions. Oh, look at the win rate, and it just throws me off. I'd
True.
rather just not
Yeah.
know.
True,
Yeah,
true.
yeah.
But at the same
I
time,
100%
I
agree.
do look occasionally because I'm unlike some people. I like learning against like good players in air quotes. Like when I find out, holy shit, this guy's actually good, that he's got like 80% win rate. That doesn't make me play worse. It just galvanizes me to play better.
Yeah.
What
Reminds me
tilts
of
me
the
is when I
time.
see my teammates that the dog shit, and I'm just there like, oh well, fuck man.
That reminds me of a time where me and you played a game and there was this certain talent player who was like 80% win rate.
We took him down.
So not you.
We took the fucker down.
We won that game. That guy was like, yep, FF, and that's what they
Bro,
did.
I was
Real
on
quick.
another level of flow state on that particular arc. Like, holy shit.
I've never used those apps. I've never been interested in it. But one thing I will always find funny is, again, it's another one of those things I noticed where it's like when I see someone like mid game in all chat or team chat like pointing out someone's stats, and I'm like, bro, you are paying way too much attention to the wrong thing. It's like, oh, my jungler has a 42% win rate and Lily, and it's like, bro, that may be true, but like you're losing your lane right now. Like, focus up, King. I don't know what you said.
The same
It's
thing happened to
absurd
me. My last game I had today. The Twitch from my team was complaining about my Ari mid lane having a 49% win rate. Yet the Ari was 9-3 and the Twitch was 4-11. Yet the guy was complaining about the win rate.
Bro, low key, I wish there was a, I don't know, maybe it does exist already, but I wish there was one of those apps, but it only told me my opponent, because I just want to look at my opponent. I just want to
Huge.
see, am I against crazy player? Let me take them
No,
down.
I actually kind of condone the idea, and I actually like it. I don't want to see the other lanes or other players. I just want to see the player I'm actually up against. Like I'm playing support, I want to see the enemy support. What he's good at, what's he doing, what kind of statistics he's have. Like only that person, you know.
Yeah.
I agree with that idea.
Maybe you can search
Especially
up
in the
the player
solo
name.
lane context. I just want to see who I'm about to gap. But yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, I never use those apps myself. I don't know. I don't know. I wouldn't know what to say about them, but maybe you can just search up the player name specifically. Probably won't tell you the info, but you know, you can see the win rates of the champs. You can see what they've been playing recently. Maybe you could, who knows, maybe you can do psychological warfare, bro. You got a red carpet on your win rate. What's happening in all chat?
In my case, I use them mostly because after all these years of just making runes and making builds, I kind of just got like, I had enough of this. I'm just gonna take the easy way out and just have an app do it for me.
GG. Bro is regressing in League of Legends.
Okay, you
Oh,
may
it
have gone
happens.
older, but you're not like completely degenerated yet. You know what I mean? You still got
No, and I
couple
stopped
years.
using those as well, so I kind of it's like the meta changes up so quickly, and then new builds come out, and then I don't know what new things are people are running on, so I kind of just rely on these apps to like find out.
But even then, those apps, I don't know, like obviously with the in-game runes, they use them from the past patch, so sometimes that can
They're
be
very often
very
misleading.
heavy-handed.
What is it? I think great example of it is Ash was crazy on this patch, but the builds provided had a 47% win rate.
Back in my day, we used to build a rune page with runes both from the store, and we would make a rune page just with gold income, just to play Gangplank and just
Alright,
max
old
out.
man.
I remember the glyphs.
Time to
Those
get
glyphs,
time to
man.
get you into battle. No.
Fucking glyphs, man. This guy's writing a hieroglyphics to get his rune page. Meanwhile, I'm just
Glyphs
pressing
were
58.
crazy, man. They were like
Oh my god.
6,300. They would cost a
Those were the
champion's
most
worth.
expensive runes in the whole. Like you could buy a whole ass champion, or you can buy a glyph. It was
Yeah,
in
it was
between
for
those
1%
things.
crit as well. For 1%
Yeah.
crit as well.
But that 1%
the
crit
That's
will
the
So
win
you're
you
original.
gonna
the
have
game one day.
1% crit when you go in the game, and
Oh.
like
That is the original pay to win. Like actually, think about
yeah,
it.
but back then there was not such a big controversy about this being pay to win because it was a new thing. Some people didn't really know why it was like to
Hmm.
pay to win. This ideology only became like mostly woke in the recent years.
Woke. uh,
What are you
that's funny. That was just funny. Okay, so we're coming up on about an hour now. Do we want to round it out by talking about
The woke? Yeah, let's talk about the woke.
talk about the woke? Games have been ruined by liberals. But I see Zaki posted in the channel something about our main champs. What led us to our main champs? What kind of champs we're interested in?
I mean, this was just this should filler, but I mean, like I said, because you know what, we've been over it a lot, but you know what, you can discuss if you want to or not. It's up to you. Obviously, I wanted to ask Alex, like, you know, because you had so many phases. Like, what was your favorite champ you made? Let's go with that. What was the champ you've mained in the past or current that you've actually enjoyed playing the most?
It will be still trash. I still find the champion the most interesting champion for me, mostly because of the lore it has, and mostly because of the style. And imagine just hitting that Q, that hook, like a millimeter away from a minion, just like bamboozling the enemy laner, just hitting it, and they think, oh, it's gonna hit a minion, but no, you actually hit them, and then you go in, and then your team follows, and then you continue to demolish them continuously, and you get into the head at one point.
It is a very crispy hook. He's my most played engaged support as well. I'm a big
He
Thresh
definitely
fan.
feels like the most satisfying when it hits. There's that like crunch sound that really sets him apart from other Huck champions.
And the visual style of him, like hooking and then dragging them closer to their death, is also one thing that just keeps me playing
pretty
it,
cool,
just
yeah.
watching that.
I think since your answer is still
everything.
Thresh,
Yes.
let's change the question a bit. So how has your affinity for Thresh and all those things you just talked about, how has that informed you maining other characters? Have you noticed similarities between the champions that you pick up in Thresh?
Well, for Trash is like a champion that just hooks people, gets them to their death, and I kind of like the idea. And I kind of started to like other champions. Well, like I don't know how to say it. Like for example, Nautilus. He's on the same size, the same kit almost. Has a bit more CC in his kit, but it's basically on the same level as Thresh. I don't play him as much because one is a big guy, one is a smaller guy, and I kind of like the idea of playing an undead warden as they specify it in the lore.
So
Just hooks up the souls of everyone around just because he can.
so it includes obviously the out of game, like the lore.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
different
yeah. I'm
design.
a
That's
big
fair.
fan of the lore.
That's very valid, honestly. I'd agree with that in some cases. Like for me, my Out of everything, it's been Pike, like my favorite champ I've mained in time. It's just, again, like I said, he has great lore, he has great design. Like he aesthetically, he looks awesome, right? His
Mhm.
lore is very appealing. You know, all the backstory, all the grit, whatever. The gameplay is always been satisfying, and just it all combines into one neat package. I find.
He's one of the cooler characters in the game, and he's just got one of the most unique concepts as well. It's interesting how they
100%.
managed to make that work, considering it breaks a lot of the archetypes of the role.
That's why he's better as a mid laner.
Dave Mon would agree. But
Bald one. I goat.
yeah, for me, I think I'm a bit like the opposite because you guys talked about how the theme and the visuals played into it, and everyone keeps referring to Caitlyn like was accusing me of simping for her. But the thing is with like Kate, I played her like pre her visual rework as well. For me, a champion has very little to do with how they look, especially in a top-down game like League. Maybe it's different in like a shooter game or something. But for me, it was just like when I first saw those crazy combos that she could do, like Machine Gun Caitlyn with the headshot auto cancels, everything like that. Is when I found Saber and I realized like the potential of this character. I was just all in on the mechanics. I was like, I just need to find something with a high skill cap and just pour all my time into it and get really good at it. Which is why I find it such a shame what they did to her. It's like I'm thankful for the visual update because it's better to have a nice looking main than an ugly one, but still, I miss old Kate mechanics. But yeah, that's what I prioritize in a character, and I found that pattern is spread to every lane for better or worse. In jungle, for example, like God forbid I actually end up picking it, but like one of my favorite to play is Nidalee, just because of how high APM the clear is. It just really scratches that ADHD itch in my brain. I've got to be constantly pressing buttons while clearing on that character. So I'd
I
probably
agree.
enjoy Elise as well, but I haven't really tried Elise yet. And
I agree.
as well as solo lanes, like you all know I'm a Yone player, and even though it is a bit of a monkey character, it's just the fact that there's always a button to press. Permaqueuing, throwing W out, always doing something. Whereas the characters I enjoy less are the ones where you have to sit back and the champ plays itself. I really can't stand that. Which is why you'll most people would like the opposite, they'll have to take a break after playing a high intensity champion because of like all the inputs. Whereas I'm the opposite. I can play an Aurelion Soul game when we need one, like in Flex or something. But then I need to take a break from ASOL afterwards because I do enjoy it, but playing two ASOLs back to back, I'll fall asleep.
It just feels too boring for you to play such a
I
champion,
need
right?
monkey brain stimulation, which is again why like if you think about my support main, Sana, even though on the surface level she's very simple, what you find you're actually doing in lane is you're perma looking for the auto, and then you have two different auto attack animations as part of it as well. Your W is almost like a third auto in the combo. Even in the downside and or downtime in the transition between lanes, you're pressing E. There's always just something to do, and that's what makes a good character for me. All right, I think
All of your champions, as you said so far, are very aggressive, which you like a very aggressive playstyle, in which I know because I also played with you before. You like to be in the face of enemies, you want to like cut them down, you want to beat them up.
Yeah.
That's your thing.
But I'm also methodical with it because I found some people like think that I'm the opposite. Some people think I like play super safe or super passive. It's like that's not really true. You're just not playing on the same wavelength as me. Like my form of aggression is more of a sort of oppressive and choking the enemy out with small advantages kind of aggression, rather than like flipping and finding an all-in kind of. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it's characteristic of a Kate player, but there you go. But we haven't checked in on Vincent in a little bit. What do you tell us about what makes a good champ for you?
As you said, mechanically, high demanding champions. Like before, I was a Yasuo one trick and played a lot of Riven. Like that. Once I like picked up the champion and saw like what I could do with Riven, that like set everything in stone and became a Riven OTP. I just studied the champion to the point where even now, as I play AD carry, I still have that muscle memory. I still have that kind of. I know generally what I want to do on the champion. But I think that's evolved now from flashy mechanical plays to more technical plays. More where it's like you spacing, and I think that's just something that I really really enjoy, like being in the perfect situations, doing the perfect like auto attacks, pixel perfect stuff. Chef's kiss, chef's kiss. Just amazing to be able to just like outkite them and just I think what I really really want to be like my ultimate goal is to have like insane like spacing, but like it's very technical. That's
Nice.
why I think I like ADC. Just spacing is something I really enjoy doing.
Do you ever worry that you've hit your maximum potential as a player?
There are some times where it's just like I'm just like, is this like as good as I can be?
I
But who
find,
knows?
yeah, sometimes I
Who
find it very
knows?
deceptive because
Yeah.
I feel, I don't know how much this applies to everyone else, but I feel like you often feel like you're a much better player a while ago. Like it's easy to feel washed, but it's often because the standard of the people you were playing against was so much worse back when you started, or like
Yeah.
the player base has gotten better over time. I look back at
There's a
some of
lot
my old clips, like in my head I was like so much better in the past, but then I look at my old clips, I'm like, what the fuck, you're playing so slow. Yeah, so
a lot of
very
the time
weird.
I feel like I've plateaued a lot. But it's just like there are some nuances that I need to like address that can like push me into a being a further like a better player.
Hmm.
I think that's a big one.
What about you, Alex? You're a big veteran. Do you feel washed, or do you think there's still room for improvement?
I think there is still room to improve. I just need to give out some old habits that I still have. Like for example, the one with pings.
Yeah.
I need to get that out of my system so I don't follow everything just because I used to play a lot of support. I still play nowadays. I just play some other roles as well because it is more fun to me.
Oh, we need to do some more. We had fun last time we did.
Yeah,
We only
we
got one or
should.
two games in there, but the Kate
Very
Thresh
convincing.
Deluxe. Bring it back.
And I also want to play Jin again. I kind of miss the champion. It's also one of the champions that I like alongside Thresh because of the lore and
Jin is
how the
cool.
character is.
Wherever he finds himself in the meta, Jin is pretty cool.
Agreed,
Always want to play
100%.
him, but then again, it is Jin.
I find him sometimes really boring. I just like clicking. I just love clicking, and so
You don't
slow
like being
attack speed
limited.
is like
you don't like being limited to literally
Yeah.
4
yeah,
clicks,
I
man.
have to
yeah.
click. I have to click.
I need to like have my high attack speed, high APM champions.
But the
But to be fair,
feeling, Vincent.
To be fair,
Yeah,
like,
sure. Yeah, there are some times where his fourth shot is satisfying. I have definitely have that, but just recently, after like playing Zeri and transitioning to more like Jinx now, just click click click. I cannot like play champions that are like slow clicking. I need to literally like hold myself back from like even when I play the slow champions, there are like subtle movements that like I do like high APM movements that are just so unnecessary and like unneeded. Like just
Vincent.
going back and forth.
God forbid we put this card in Nautilus.
I was gonna
God
say, can
forbid.
you promise me something, Vincent?
Yeah.
Promise me you'll never main Yon, please.
I probably won't main you.
That's probably, that's not a promise.
I promise. I promise. I will not main you.
Okay, we've got it recorded, guys. Thank goodness for that.
You would be.
Why is this? Why is this?
You'd be a great Jax player, Vincent. You'd be a great Jax player.
Just, I know the dark path that is that character. The world does not need more. Anyway, moving on to the final topic of the day, we wanted to talk a little bit about the upcoming lane swap changes. Have you guys heard much about that?
I
Yeah.
read the entire thing.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? I think it's a bit overkill, but I understand why they would overkill it, you know? They want to firmly stamp it out and just make it a thing that's not happening anymore. But at the same time, holy shit, these changes have some potential to backfire.
Yeah.
It's just.
I feel like Riot always has this thing where you have to play a league. You have to play a league a certain way, like their way. And it like the meta always is something that they want to shape, and sometimes it just doesn't feel that good. But I can agree on like lane swap. There are some other coming from the top of my head, I can't think of like I don't know something that Riot has done like recently that was like initially bad for the meta, but this lane swap I think is like overrated.
Lucidity boots.
Yeah.
No.
There definitely has been some like meta like shifts and like things that they've changed that definitely wasn't good. Coming from the top of my head, I think personally now playing, I think the mythic items getting removed is a little bit sad. And yeah,
The one thing I would say that, like, is what you were talking about just then, with Riot incentivizing different things or making you play a certain way,
Yeah.
is I don't like it when they advertise themselves saying, we want to endorse multiple unique playstyles, or we want to have build variety, or where they say that that's their policy, and then they do something completely opposite to that policy.
Oh yeah, 100%.
It's like it's fine for it to be either way. You can choose. You can say we're Riot and we want build variety to be a staple of the game. But if you say that, make sure you reflect it in the changes that you're doing. Because like right now, like we've talked about it many times before, like ADC build parts is just dismal. Like it's literally just the same items every game. There's no variety. There's literally like one defined absolute best thing. Anything else is literally just inting. Whereas like previously there was almost too much choice to the point where like people were griefing the other way around where they were they were just building some crazy shit that doesn't make any sense. But I think like if you're gonna be Riot there, just please be consistent. Don't say one thing and then do the other thing. Like either you want to build variety or you want defined identities for a champion. And every time that they flip flop between the two, it leads to crazy meta situations that shouldn't exist. But yeah, back to lane swap. Any more thoughts?
Terrible. No, it's like it's obviously necessary for them to do this, but they didn't have any of the solutions, I guess, so they had to come down hard, but it's just done so sloppily. Like it's just really, really bad.
They
It
just
looks
brought
bad
in
on
the
them.
hammer.
It looks bad on them if you're relying on them to like balance things between like pro, solo queue, high elo, whatever, and then they
Yeah.
do this, and it's like, okay, but this is such a stupid like way of approaching it, even if it's the only solution you have in mind. And like it's hard to fix. I agree, but like, and I also agree as a viewer of esports and a player of the game. I think lane swaps are really, really boring for how prominent they became.
Yep, totally agree.
But even then,
Especially in the top lane context when you have like especially at the higher levels when you have two very prolific top laners is one of the most exciting things about the esports
Yeah.
match.
Yeah.
Is you're like, oh, I finally get to see my favorite top laner against this really good top laner who's known for his this. Oh, which picks are you gonna pull out? And they pull out all their picks and they lock in the champ and then they don't lane against each other and you're like, oh well, what was the point of that?
Yeah.
It's very
And
unfortunate.
and another bit is like when they're like, oh, this top lane is gonna win this matchup, and then to counteract, it's just like, oh yeah, we'll just put the support and AD carry top lane, and then you have your top laner bot lane, and they're just sitting under under the tier 2 tower bush,
Mhm.
and it's just like, well,
I think
whatever.
my main disagreement with the way Riot's handling it is that, I mean, first of all, there's two very different worlds, right? It was very negatively affecting esports, that much that we can all agree on.
Yeah.
But it wasn't really affecting solo queue up until the highest levels, and even then, it wasn't executed nearly as cleanly as in pro, and it didn't really change the dynamic or the meta that much. So it wasn't like this is a huge solo queue issue that we need to fix now. It was like it's just making pro a bit unenjoyable. And the beauty of sports, not just League of Legends, is you can make professional rules that don't apply in a for fun context. You could literally just say to the pro players, if you're
No
playing
lane
in this
swaps.
league and this set of rules, you're not allowed to do this. And they would just have to. There's referees. You're just not allowed to do it. It doesn't need to be coded into the game that if you walk to the wrong place at the wrong time, the turret is suddenly gonna execute you in one shot. Like, but then, even simpler than that, I think they overkilled definitely the range. Like, did you guys see the picture of the range at which the change is
Oh,
effective?
it's huge.
Yeah.
Oh, it's huge.
I it looks like it even overlaps with a bit with some of the camps. Like, you see,
Yes, I am playing jungle, and I cannot play my jungle
does
because I
it
am
activate off
deemed as a
someone with
top
a
laner
jungle
now.
item? I don't think it does, right?
No, as long as it's
No, it
someone with
doesn't.
jungler, you're fine.
Yeah.
And no anyone with the jungler, then it's fucked.
But
Yeah.
do you guys
With the
think?
jungle item itself is that you don't take lane minions, while you
Mm.
still don't have upgraded your jungle item to the max.
Do you guys think it would have worked just as well if they constrained the thing to just the lane itself? Or do you think the circular radiuses were necessary for it to work the way they wanted?
I think
I'm
the
not
radius is
sure.
fine if it was a bit
I
smaller.
think they with the radiuses now they might have to do like they might have to implement like there will be like other methods that are coming out, like more egregious methods that like I don't know. Let's say hypothetically you have the radius, right? In theory, teams could just like proxy between tier 1 and tier 2, and you're in that little like radius where it's like where you're out of the radius, but you're still there dealing with them. You're just like sitting back and taking the minions. There's like some weird, like this hypothetical is just like some weird tactic. I feel like having it just deal with the entire lane would be better. Just say top lane is only top, and if you're coming to top lane, that is like support for like an extended period of time, you're gonna get punished. You will get punished. That kind of thing.
I think at the very least they were trying to send a message with this change, and they definitely did send that message. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's definitely gonna kill the strategy, but yeah. Hopefully the fallout of it won't be too bad. Do we have any more thoughts? Anyone want to talk about anything else before we close out?
No, just don't
No,
riot.
not
No.
really.
All right. Well, on that note, thank you everybody for watching episode 6 of the Climb Podcast.
Woo!
I've been Praetorian, and hopefully we get to see you in the next one.
Bye, guys.
See ya.
Bye.